What if you can unlock the mystery to take your construction business to 7 figures? What about 8 figures? In this video, I'm gonna show you my secret formula that I'm using every single day with my clients to help them get there. To be honest, I've never publicly shared this outside of my coaching program, so there's a good chance that I might regret this video and take it down. So make sure you watch to the end and take a bunch of notes. Listen, I'm not this super genius. I didn't make any of this stuff up. The truth is that half of everything that I put in these videos and half of everything that I teach in my coaching program, half of it I'm learning from my own students, from my own members. Because I have a program where I have a big community, I get to see what's working every single day. The other half of my strategies comes directly from my own experience. Before I started Iron Builders, I worked for a commercial drywall subcontractor where we actually took that business from almost a startup to $7 million a year, and we did it in a 2-year period. The truth is, when I started at that company, they were a labor company. They were just giving labor to other bigger drywall contractors. When I started there, I was a project manager. The owner of the company, my boss, he's a field guy. He's a framer. He wasn't a businessman. He wasn't an expert sales estimator, leads guy. He was a framer. So neither of us knew how to grow a construction business, but we were both determined. We wanted to make it work. We wanted to take the business. He actually recruited me from the general construction company. I used to be a superintendent. He recruited me, and with his vision of, I want to take my business to $20 million, Daniel, and I need somebody like you. They're a smaller company than I expected, and I was kind of freaking out a little bit, but it didn't matter. We were committed, and we're like, let's take this thing to those $20 million. Let's grow this business. We tried a lot of things. We struggled, we failed, we had some successes. We had a lot, back and forth. It was like an emotional roller coaster, and we almost gave up. We almost shut the doors, to be quite honest, but we were able to figure out a process that worked for us. And that process was a systematic process on how to get leads, how to estimate the jobs, how to negotiate them, and how to take our business to that $7 million mark that we eventually got to before I ended up going and starting my own company. So we started off as an estimating company, purely an estimating company, doing estimating for subcontractors, for GCs, for developers, for homeowners, even home builders. And I started noticing a lot of my clients would ask me very basic things. How do I write a proposal? How do I get more leads? How do I negotiate this project? I'm not sure. I don't know. So I would always give them tips and strategies and things like that. And it was like one day, I came up with an idea. I said, let's create a coaching program where now I'm training my clients one-on-one. We're doing their estimating. We're doing their leads. We're helping them really grow their business on all the hard, challenging points that every contractor has. Leads, estimating, negotiating, the training, the paperwork, the construction management, all that stuff that they don't teach you, we're teaching it. By the way, if you're interested, I know this video just started, but in case you do want to join or check it out, right over here, I'm going to put a link, and I'm also going to put a link in the description below to our 8-figure contractor program. So I went back and I said, what do we do? What is our process? Like, I know we were doing it, but I never really wrote it down on paper. So what is the process? Because if I'm going to teach contractors and I'm going to guide them, I need a systematic process to take them through. That's where the 7-figure and the 8-figure contractor paths were born. There are 2 paths. So in this video, we're going to talk about the first path, which is taking your business from wherever you are today, 0, starting out, maybe you're doing already 500,000, 200,000, wherever you're at, but taking you all the way through the $1 million mark, which is 7 figures. And some of you guys that are doing more than 7 figures, you might want to check this video out because you may not have your foundation set up properly. And if you're going to scale and you're scaling without having a solid foundation, your business can crumble, or at a minimum, you're gonna have a lot of crazy challenges. So I recommend that you at least watch this video and see where you can improve before you start scaling up. All right, let's jump on the computer. I'm gonna show you the 5 phases of our 7-figure contractor path. Let's go. All right, so this is what I call our 7-figure contractor success path. My contractors will come to me and they're like, I wanna estimate jobs. I'm like, all right, perfect. And I'm like, how are you getting the leads? Oh, I don't know, word of mouth. And I'm like, all right, how are you financing your projects? Oh, I don't know, like cash. Like I get up money and you know, I just use my cash. And I'm like, can't run a construction company on cash, not anymore. So let me share with you how to do it. So if I was starting, let me zoom in here a little bit. What I've done is I've broken it up into 5 phases. These are the 5 things you need to focus on in different stages of your company to get to that $1 million mark. Now here's the cool thing. You can do $1 million a year with one person as a one-man operation. You don't need a huge team. Everybody thinks, oh, I gotta hire. What I teach my guys is from 0 to $1 million, just you. You don't need accountants. You don't need project managers. You don't need superintendents, maybe a foreman to help you run the jobs a little bit, but you don't need a crew. You don't need a huge crew. You just need this. All right, let's start with the beginning, building your foundation. So the goal here is we want to set up your company. I want you to think of like a footing, right? When you're building a building, you got to put the footings first, right? You're going to grade the land, you're going to do your excavation, put your footings, you're going to put your slab, you're going to put your foundations, okay? This is why we do the foundations. We want to set up our company to make sure that we're set up financially and in compliance. So the very first thing that I do with everybody is I'm like, all right, step 1 is you're going to watch all the videos in the training, which obviously you guys are not watching those videos because you're not in the program yet, but you should be. All right, and then the next thing is we're going to decide on the trade. Some GCs come and they're like, and I talk about this in other videos, a GC come to me, he's like, I've been a GC, I've been a project manager, construction manager for years, doing high rises with, as an employee. I just started my company and I don't know how to get business. I'm like, all right, since you're starting, why don't you go become a super sub? And I talk about the super sub contractor strategy over here if you want to watch the video. But basically, I told him, I said, look, you're already a GC. Why don't you bid multiple trades as a subcontractor, manage the project like if you were a GC, but you're limiting yourself to 5 trades. And he's like, no, I'm not able to do that. I'm a big shot. And I'm like, just try it. And a few months later, he's like, all right, I'm ready to try it. Boom, he tries it, wins his first job, makes 300 and something thousand bucks. And then that owner decides to give him 3 or 4 more other projects. He decided he wanted to become he was a general contractor, but while he's building up his GC side of the business, he's going to do the super sub strategy. He did it. So the first thing we have to do, that I do with every client, is what are we going to do? Are we doing drywall? Are we doing paint? Are we going to do GC? Are we going to do whatever it is? Are we going to do government work? Are we going to do private work? So we need to decide what our specialty is going to be. And this could change. It doesn't have to be the same the whole time, but we got to start somewhere. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we got to make sure that your insurances are set up. General liability, right? Very important. The standard is $2 million aggregate, $1 million per occurrence, and you also have to cover your auto. Okay. That's standard. Then you got to have your workers' comp. So workers' comp is very important. You cannot function in construction with a workers' comp exemption. You can have an exemption, but if you're going to get work, they won't accept an exemption. Okay, so you have to get workers' comp. You can get an umbrella policy, right, that covers X amount of employees on the job. These 2 insurances are very easy to get. You can get them by just calling up any commercial insurance company, and they'll set you up. It's not rocket science. This literally will take you like 30 minutes. That's it. Phone call, fill out an application, boom, pick the one you want, and sign the paper. Done. Super simple. Like, it shouldn't take that long. The next one, which are probably the 2 most important parts of the foundation, are setting up our credit line and setting up our terms with our suppliers. So what happens is you could start job number 1, right? And usually in commercial construction, you do not get deposits, right? You got to put in your first billing. You work a whole month. You submit your AIA payment application that goes to the owner, then to the bank. And then the bank eventually cuts the check. It has to get mailed, and the bank has to clear the check. And then the owner sends it to the GC, and the bank has to clear. And then the GC sends it to the sub, and then it has to clear. So you're looking at a total of 45 to 60 days sometimes. And what happens is you're going to start job number 1. You're going to get some money, right? And then you're going to get job number 2. Hey, congratulations, you have been awarded this contract. And now you're going to grab all the profit, and you're going to use all that money to start job number 2. So where's that money? Not in your bank account. It's not in your pockets. It's tied up in the job. And then job number 1's holding your retainage, right? Because they got to finish the job and then release your retainage. Then job number 2 is doing the same thing, and you're probably 2 or 3 months behind on those payments. And then you get another email, congratulations, you've been awarded this job, blah, blah, blah. You're ready to start. And then you got to place a material order. Long story short, you're going to be basically robbing Peter to pay Paul. Boom, boom, boom. So we set up a credit line to pay for our labor. Okay, very important. This is not a credit line for working capital. Okay, although working capital is the official term for it, we're not going to use it for working capital. Most companies, when they do a credit line, it's to buy like equipment and materials and things like that. We're not doing that. We're going to use a credit line specifically to pay for our labor. Okay, and what's left is your profit. What you want to do is you're going to get credit terms. They're going to check your credit. They're going to check your company. They're going to check your history of purchasing with them. If you're a business owner, you should have good credit. If not, go fix your credit. Super important, because you're going to get shackled. I'm telling you, you can't grow your business without this. If you notice, I'm spending a lot of time on the foundations because this is where most people get stuck on, and that's why I'm talking about it. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our future independent contractor small crews. So at this point, we need to build a Rolodex of subcontractors. If you're a GC, and if you're a sub or you're going to do sub work, we need to build a Rolodex of 3rd tier subs or subs. Okay. So I want demo guys, framing guys, hanging guys, finishers. I want acoustical ceiling grid, acoustical ceiling mechanics. I want painters, right? I want guys that I can hire on production, right? I'm going to hire you per board. I'm going to hire you per linear foot of framing. That's what we want, because this is how we're going to get the best prices to maximize the profit. Okay. And you never want to rely like, oh, I'm going to give all my stuff to this guy, because if that guy disappears or whatever the case is, you always want other people that could fill that gap. Okay, super important. That's why we build a Rolodex. Also, if you notice, they're independent contractors. We're not doing employees. The worst thing you can do as a small business is have a bunch of employees. That's overhead, that's payroll taxes, that's unemployment insurance, that's a bunch of crap that you don't really need to be paying right now. And lastly, we got to make sure you got your license, right? In a lot of areas like California, you need a license for everything. If you live in Texas, you don't need any license. If you live in Miami, you need a couple of licenses. Like, for example, like if you're a subcontractor, you could typically, in most areas, if you're a sub, you can do work under the general contractor's master permit. But in a lot of areas, like if you go to California, the more regulated states, you need a license for everything, right? You need a license to breathe. So we got to make sure that we're compliant legally, okay? And then after this, we've officially completed the foundations. Now we throw a party, we're like, yes, but we still have no work yet. If you notice, all this stuff is extremely important. We need it. We're ready to launch. We've built the rocket, but now we got to take off, all right? So now the next step is gonna be to build our lead system. And in the lead system, our goal is to generate new leads and to set up the foundation, continued lead generation, right? We want to build a system to get unlimited leads. I call this the unlimited lead system. All right, so what do we do? So one of the first things I do, Google local service ads. You can also do local SEO, right? That's one of the things that we set up our clients on. A lot of times you need money, you need cash flow. We start there. And the next one we do is our master list. So the master list is one of the strategies that I talk about, where what you do is you create a list, all of your previous clients, everybody you've known in construction, every superintendent, every architect. You go in your email and you start downloading all the plans in the past, and you look up all the architects that you've worked with. You look in your phone and you try to find every single person that might lead you to a construction project, and you put them on a list. And then what you do is you call your lists. And then part of the lead system is we're gonna start getting on at least 20 vendor lists a month. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Because what we want is we want so many leads to come in that now we could cherry pick. Oh, I like this job. Oh, this job is in my backyard. And also one of the other benefits of getting on a lot of bid lists is a lot of those same clients are all bidding the same jobs. And we could say, now we know we could start sending the bids to everybody. And then lastly, we create a visiting schedule. The most important thing you can do in this line of business is build relationships. And that's why we start visiting clients. I hope this video is not too boring, because I've covered the first two systems. We're about to go into the estimating and the closing system now, but I'm curious. Put in the comments below what you think, what your opinions are, good or bad, hate me, love me, whatever it is. Tell me what you think about this process. Tell me if you think it would work for you, or tell me if there's something you would change. Put it in the comments below. All right, phase 3, we got to build our estimating system. If you notice, we built our foundation. Now we got the leads, but we still haven't estimated the jobs. Now we need to build our system. So because we're an estimating firm, one of the things I always tell everybody is when you're at this stage, don't bother wasting time doing this. Outsource the bids, send them to us, because you're going to either have to hire somebody, $100,000 year salary, which again, I don't recommend you do this if you're not hitting $1 million. Outsource your bids. It's much easier. With the click of a button, your estimating gets done, right? You don't have to do it. Buy back your time. Don't spend time doing it. Estimating takes forever. So outsource your bids is what I typically recommend at this stage. Now, if you do want to do it yourself, inside of my training program, I do have a full training on how to estimate. So if you do want to do it yourself, or you don't have the budget to hire somebody or whatever, you can check it out. I'm going to put a link again here so you could join. The goal here is that we set up a system so you can consistently bid 5 jobs a month. Boom. That's the minimum. The bare minimum that you should be sending is 5 jobs a month. All right. So next is the closing system. We've built our foundation. We got the leads. We're estimating jobs. Now we have to follow up, negotiate, and close. All right. There's an entire training inside of my program on how to do this. So one of the things that I do with my clients is I make them go through this training so they learn and understand how to do the follow-up system. So in this stage, what we need to do is we need to build our CRM system. We need to build our follow-up templates. We need to build our follow-up scripts, because this is the way that you're going to win the jobs. Getting the lead and estimating the job is only half the battle. Now we need to follow up consistently for weeks and weeks and weeks, because what happens is behind the scenes, the project owner and the architect, they're trying to get permits, they're trying to get financing, there's revisions, they're value engineering the projects, trying to reduce costs, and that takes a long time. So the sales cycle of commercial construction is typically what I see for most tenant build out, smaller type jobs, 3 to 6 months. So you have to consistently follow up. And then what you want is you want to be present in the moment. As soon as they get awarded the job, boom, you want to be able to be there to talk about the numbers, so that when they're doing the buyout, they're going to get a phone call from you. Hey, this is Daniel. I want to make sure you got my proposal. I want to talk about the numbers. And then right there, it's in their benefit to be like, all right, let's look at the numbers. Boom, boom, boom. All right, I got this price and this price, and you lock it up. And then if you're doing the super sub strategy, which is one of the big things I teach, you're going to lock that thing up real quick, because you're going to be able to bid multiple trades, a package, and win $200,000-$300,000 contracts a pop, because that's what I teach. All right. And then the last one, final stage, building your management system. A lot of the guys I work with, they're good at construction, but when you start talking about contracts, change orders, crossing out bad terms on the contracts, when you talk about change orders, when you talk about submittals, when you talk about specifications, they have no clue. A lot of times, if you're watching this and you know how to do this, great. You might already have this. We supply all the templates and the change order templates and the submittal package templates and everything for our clients to make sure that they're successful. And I teach them how to do every one of these steps. So what you want to do is, at this stage, there's a professional construction management process that almost everybody follows nationwide. The contract, request for information, the submittal packages, the schedule of values, the time and material tickets, the daily logs, the CSI specifications. You have to know all this stuff. The AIA payment application is probably the most important thing, because that's how you get paid. It's not sending an invoice. All right. So if you want to learn how to do this, join my 8-figure contractor program. I'm going to put a link here again. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about the 8-figure contractor path. This is where you're going to start scaling your team. You're going to start hiring general superintendent, bid coordinators. You're going to start hiring project managers. And there's another 5-phase process to take your business from $1 million into the $10 million mark. So go ahead and watch that video. And if you want to learn how to do this one-on-one with me, go ahead and join our 8-figure contractor academy, 14-day trial. Let's go.